sprint, dance, fold a shirt, lift a box. None of it tells you whether a robot survived a single real shift. So we asked one question 10 times, the same way. Who has actually shown their work? Tesla's Optimus came ninth. Not the ninth best machine, ninth on evidence. Because a demo is a performance, and performances don't come with receipts. One principle runs through all of this. Deployment beats demonstration. A demo shows a capability existed once. Deployment shows it kept happening, and lets someone outside the company check. 12 candidates. Every source frozen to the same date. 2 missed the entry gate. Furiai's GR3 had no named workplace. Neura's 4 and E1, Generation 3.5 was still a reservation, with availability expected at the end of 2026. That left 10, each scored on 4 questions: autonomy, repeatability, real task speed, economics. Every answer marked verified, claimed, or unknown. Unknown never means false. It means nobody published it. And here, silence costs you. The bottom of this table isn't where the bad robots are. It's where the promises are. Last place goes to a company that drew its own boundary, and drew it honestly. Sanctuary AI and Magna announced a partnership to build general-purpose robots for Magna's operations. Real name, real intent, but the announcement never gets Phoenix through a plant door. Then in June 2026, Sanctuary published something genuinely strong: 99.5% performance at a 2.54-second cycle. Those figures came from physical AI running on existing commercial robot arms, not Phoenix. Sanctuary's own reasoning was that this let it skip the wait for humanoid hardware. Good result. It belongs to the arms that ran it. It cannot be lent to Phoenix. 7 points. Optimus scores the same 7, and ranks 1 place higher for one reason: regulatory filings outweigh a press release. Confidence breaks the tie. It doesn't add a point. Tesla's filings establish plenty. Active program, investment, production preparation, plans at enormous scale. And then Tesla's own 2025 Form 10K says it plainly: we have yet to commercialize bots. What the filings never hand over is what this ranking runs on. 1 exact generation. 1 named task it does again tomorrow. 1 bounded stretch of operating time. No unit count, no intervention rate, no downtime, no cost per anything. That is not the accusation it sounds like. Optimus may be doing useful work inside Tesla right now. You cannot check it. Neither can we. There's no number 8. 2 robots tie at 7, so the ranking skips it. And unlike Tesla and Phoenix, these 2 can't be separated on confidence. Both records come from the maker's own product pages, so the tie stands. Unitree G1 starts with something rare, a price. $13,500 on the official page, before tax and shipping. Roughly 2 hours of battery. In a field that treats pricing like a state secret, that's verifiable, and it earns real points. It earns nothing beyond itself. No named workplace, no accepted output, no intervention rate. You can buy the robot. You cannot look up what it has done. Then 1x Neo, which does something almost nobody else does. It admits the human. The launch page lists a $20,000 early access purchase, first orders shipping in 2026, and discloses the fallback plainly. When Neo hits a chore it doesn't know, a 1x expert guides it remotely. Most of this industry would have edited that person out. But by our cutoff, we found no completed delivery and no published stretch of work Neo finished alone. 20 points each. 2 robots you can price. Neither one you can audit. From here up, every robot has at least a workplace claim, pilot, or commercial agreement. The question changes: how much of it came back out? 6th place, 26 points, and the first robot here with a factory behind it. UBTech's product page says Walker S1 has been introduced into vehicle manufacturing assembly lines. Working with logistics vehicles through manufacturing management systems. That's past a showroom. That's a workplace. Which customer? Which plant? How many robots? How much output? How often did someone step in? The page goes quiet on all of it. And there's a trap we refuse to walk into. Walker S2 is the newer machine, marketed for mass production and autonomous battery swapping. It doesn't inherit S1's factory. No successor stands on its predecessor's record, and that rule will matter again before the end. Galbot takes fifth with 38, and it shows a problem running through this whole industry. The company site says G1 and the heavier S1 are already deployed on real production lines with continuous, stable performance, and publishes a customer roster of major industrial names. Now attach that to the robot. Which customer got G1? Which plant? Which date? Which output? The page never draws the line. It also says Galbot stores run around the clock across dozens of cities. Unusable here, because it never says which generation does the work. The company deployment may be entirely real while the model-level evidence stays out of reach. That difference is what this ranking measures. 38 points at source confidence D. Remember that letter. Fourth place also scores 38. Atlas takes the tie on source confidence, B against Galbot's D. Boston Dynamics and Toyota Research Institute published an Atlas workshop sequence lasting 2 minutes and 6 seconds. Their page calls it an uncut end-to-end video, one language condition policy completing 3 prompted subtasks, folding and shelving spot legs, placing faceplates into a bin, clearing the rest. That's a real proof object. It establishes continuity across the published sequence. But uncut doesn't prove playback equals real task speed, and the source never states where it was filmed. So speed is claimed, not verified. Separately, Boston Dynamics says Atlas entered Hyundai's Georgia Meta plant in fall 2025 for a parts sequencing proof of concept. 2 different records, one maker research sequence, one named customer pilot. Shifts, customer output, interventions, cost, none shown. Atlas earns nothing from a location or a speed its sources never state. Third place goes to a robot that did something the others only talked about. It got signed. In March 2024, Abtronic and Mercedes-Benz entered a commercial agreement to pilot Apollo inside Mercedes manufacturing. The proposed work was intralogistics, bringing assembly kits to workers, inspecting components, later delivering totes of kit parts. Named customer, named manufacturing context, a commercial agreement to pilot. Then the release stops. Whether those proposed tasks became routine production work is not established. Neither is fleet size, shift length, intervention rate, cycle time, or return. 45 points, 7 above Atlas. That gap isn't a judgment about the better robot. It's a commercial agreement, and the extra dimensions the source lets us mark as claimed. 2 robots left. Both scored 63. Only one has a customer willing to say so. 100,000 totes. That's the number that puts digits second, and it's the largest output figure in this source set. The setup is unusually concrete. Agility Robotics and GXO signed a multi-year Robotics as a Service agreement covering Digit at a GXO Spanx facility. The task is narrow. Move totes from collaborative robots onto a conveyor. Not a category of work, a job. Agility later reported Digit had moved more than 100,000 totes at GXO's Flowery Branch facility. The sources don't establish that's the same site, so the records stay separate. And here's what costs Digit first place. That total comes from Agility. GXO, the customer named in the agreement, never published the same figure with an intervention rate, an uptime record, or a task rate beside it. Repeatability verified as a bounded maker milestone. Economics claimed through the agreement. Autonomy claimed. Real task speed never surfaces. 63 points. Tied on the numbers. Second on who's doing the telling. First place, Figure 02 at BMW. Same 63. Same level. Same blank columns. The tie breaks on one word. Who? BMW says Figure 02 worked in production at Plant Spartanburg for 10 months, contributing to more than 30,000 vehicles. That's the customer speaking, not the robot company. The car maker whose line it ran on, whose quality record it touched, and who had every commercial reason to stay quiet if it had gone badly. Figure adds its own numbers from the 2025 deployment. More than 90,000 parts across more than 1,250 operating hours. Still maker figures, and they leave gaps. Figures page mentions targets above 99% success and 0 interventions. Targets, not achieved results, so neither earns a point. Intervention rate, downtime, cost per part, not on the table. One more thing this ranking refused to do. Figure 03 arrived at Spartanburg in June 2026, running a new sequencing workflow. It has published no productive runtime and no accepted output, so it earns nothing here. The record belongs to Figure 02, the machine that did the 10 months. The same rule that kept Walker S2 out of its predecessor's factory applies to the robot at the top of this table. And no other entry has what survives when you strip the rest away. An outside party, its own name attached, confirming the site, the duration, and the scale. Confidence, A for figure, B for digit. Everything else identical. Figure 02 doesn't win because it looks the most human, moves fastest, or carries the biggest valuation. It wins because it's the easiest one to check. 10 robots, 1 ranking, and 1 finding that matters more than the order. This industry isn't short of impressive footage. It's short of denominators. How many attempts? How many accepted? How often did a human step in? How much time went to faults, resets, charging? Was the video shown at real task speed? Did a customer pay? Did any of it lower a cost or move a line faster? Ask those questions 10 times and count the answers. The most common one wasn't no. It was silence. Which is why a low score isn't a verdict on a machine. Tesla may hold excellent data behind its own walls. Phoenix may become a serious platform. Neo may reach real homes. Walker S2 may scale past anything here. None of it helps, because private evidence can't carry a public claim, and no robot inherits the record of the one before it. This ranking is built to move. AGX O-side confirmation would strengthen Digit's claim to the top. A bounded factory record would lift Optimus several places. Every position has a visible path to a different one. That's why we published the scorecard instead of an opinion. The full scorecard, the source cutoff, and our correction rules are linked below. If we got something wrong, bring the primary source and we'll change the row. Here's what 10 robots and 1 frozen date actually showed us. The humanoid race is not being won by the robot with the best demo. It is being led by the company whose customer leaves the clearest receipts. If that's how you want robotics judged, by what can be checked, not by what looks inevitable, subscribe to the Machine Audit. And tell us which robot enters the next index. Bring the source that earns it a place.